Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this month's edition of our Coffee Break webinar series. We do these every month, and they do generally run about as long as your coffee break, so about 20 minutes. We give you as much information as we can in that amount of time, and we do want to tell you that a static copy of this presentation will be available in our eForms library. You just have to search under the category search for Coffee Break webinar series. Easy enough. All right, let's go ahead and begin. This month's topic is an introduction to Northfield, and while I am sure if I asked you, most of you would say you thought of the Colonial Group as a market for mobile homes. And that is true in the past and as well as for the future. Mobile homes are a very important segment of our business. But we also want you to think of us for commercial risks. With the introduction of Northfield giving the Colonial Group two strong carriers, it gives our underwriters the ability to shop your risk not only for price but also for coverage. And so we hope you'll start thinking of us for your commercial risks. Now, some of you are probably familiar with Northfield. They are a division of Northland Insurance, and Northland is a traveler's company. And that means that you and your customers have the security of a financially strong company. Of course, they do have an A+ rating from AM Best. We have been giving a binding contract from Northfield for both North and South Carolina. So you should have quicker response times for binding quotes. And the coverage is on an E&S basis, and that gives our underwriters greater pricing flexibility. And we do highly recommend that you send in the expiring premium when you send something in for a quote. The lines of business are probably what you would expect for a commercial carrier. We have general liability, property, package, crime, and inland marine all available. But this is probably what we're most excited about. We previously were limited to X wind within 150 miles of the coast in both North and South Carolina. And that's shown here in the yellow, and obviously that's about half of our state would have to be X wind. Adding Northfield gives us a much stronger market for property coverage because they will write wind coverage all the way down into the Tier 1 counties. So let's take a closer look at that. And basically they will not write any new business if it's within a mile of the coast. Now, if it is inferior construction, we can write all the way down to 10 miles from the coast. And for superior construction, we can write all the way down to 3 miles of the coast. They do give us the ability to exclude wind if we write within the 10 miles or 3 miles, but still more than a mile from the coast. So just keep that in mind. If you have any questions about that, you can ask your underwriter. Northfield's underwriting appetite gives us the ability to write more than 1,500 different classes of business. We'll just take a look at a couple of those, and I'm not going to read this whole list to you. But basically we can write both adult and child daycare centers, special events, residential roofing. That's always an important one. Now you can also see that we have habitational risks and lessors risks. That's to go along with that added wind coverage zone that we're able to write. But probably more important than the classes that we can write is what are we actually writing. Now we haven't been writing with Northfield for very long, but you can see the typical GLs that you would expect, the tree service in North and South Carolina, janitorial service, a golf course, a handyman. But also note on here that the packages that we've been able to bind. We've got rental dwellings in North Carolina, an interior design service in North Carolina, an apartment building package. We have also a realtor office package in North Carolina. So you can see that the package are truly sticking, and we're able to write that property coverage. For a quick rate indication, we can offer those by phone, by fax, or by email. And just take note that we do prefer to give rate indications by phone for monoline coverage only. Our underwriters will give a property or a package quote over the phone, but they do tend to take that information from you and then just give you a call back when they've got the rate completed, the rating completed. We know that some of you don't write a lot of commercials, so we just thought this would be a good tool to have to reference back to or to refer back to. So we have here the very basic information needed for the rate indication. And it is, of course, dependent upon the type of risk, but this should help. And that's just for a rate indication, but if you do want a firm quote, we do need you to fax or email the completed applications. Northfield will accept the Accord 125, 126, and 140, and those are fillable in our eForms library. Again, I recommend that you do provide the expiring premium since we do have a little bit of rating flexibility. Now, one other thing that I want to mention, well, two other things. First of all, Northfield does have some specific applications depending upon the class. And if our underwriters send you one of those, you can use those applications. Now, the other thing is that since you're probably not thinking of the Colonial Group for your commercial risks, you may even have one sitting on your desk right now that you've filled out another application and sent it off to have it rated. We're going to ask you to go ahead and send those in to us, even if it's on that company's application. From what our underwriters have told me, that probably 95 to 99% of the information that they would need is going to be on that application anyway. So go ahead, you can probably get a firm quote from that other carrier's application. It may not be a bindable quote, and they would put that in the conditions, and we'll show you where that is here in just a moment. But please go ahead and do that. If you've already got it filled out, just send it in. Most quotes are going to be back to you in about 24 to 48 hours. Just remember that the completeness and accuracy does impact your response time. Now, your quotes include binding instructions, some conditions. Also remember it is E&S, so North Carolina and South Carolina have those special forms required. Premium financing is available upon request, and issued policies are mailed to the insured and to the agent. So you don't have to worry about packaging that big old policy up and sending it off to your insured. We're going to take care of that for you. Let's take a quick look at one of the quote forms. I'm not going to go all the way through it. I do want to point out that the quote is valid for 30 days. If it's beyond that, you'll want to check back with your underwriter and see if you can get that refreshed. And then you're going to get a coverage summary as well as premium information, so you'll have the taxes and everything all broken out for you. Then down in the bottom, you're going to see here's the classification code. And it's followed by liability limits, deductibles, and that continues over onto the next page. I want you to look down about halfway down the page here. Well, I got a little ahead of myself, but you can see the conditions there. And the conditions basically is where you will find everything that they need to be able to bind that for you. So if they do need a different application, that's going to be where that's noted. And then down below that you can see who quoted it. So if you're out of the office and someone else has to pick up your file, they can see very easily who they need to speak with at the Colonial Group about that file. The quote will also include the schedule of forms and endorsements. And we're not going to go into detail on that because you're probably familiar with most of those. One other thing that we do want to touch on is renewals, because they do get a little confusing sometimes. We do send the offer out only to the agent, and there is a method behind that. The reasoning is that your customers don't know who the Colonial Group is. They know you. They have that relationship with you, and we certainly do want to encourage that relationship. Who knows what you might find out when you call that customer or ask them to stop by. You may find out that they need some additional coverage. Maybe not on this policy. Maybe they have something personal that you can help them with. But we want to encourage that relationship, and also we found that the retention rate is higher because of the relationship that you do have with your customer. Your renewal offer will include the premium finance agreement and the state-specific forms. Now, some of you are aware that we do have a sister company, Affordable Home Services, and we are pleased to be able to offer access to several Northland programs through the contract that Affordable Home Services has with Northland. Among those are a mobile home dealer program and setup contractor programs and park program. Let's start with the mobile home park program. First of all, we were fortunate enough to be able to work with Northland to develop this, and it is targeted to smaller parks. They will accept up to 100% park-owned rental units, especially in the smaller parks. In-park sales are accepted. Property liability coverages are both available. And to make it easy, we've got the fillable applications in our e-forms library. You do have to look under Northland for those forms. Now, the other two programs are the mobile home dealer program, and the coverages provided or available are dealer open lot, general liability, commercial auto, builder's risk, and inland marine and crime. And on the setup contractor side, the coverages that are available are the GL, the commercial auto, builder's risk, and an installation floater. So both of those programs, you will have to contact your underwriter or your Colonial Group marketing rep for more information. The applications for those are not on our website. You will have to go through the underwriter or your marketing rep for that information. So we would love to give you some additional information about that and give you access to those programs. Now, I promised you that we would give you the commercial department contact information, and this is also available on our website. If you go to the About Us tab and scroll down, you can click on Staff Directory. But you can send your quote requests and endorsements to either the general email box or the general fax number. And then we've also provided the underwriter contact information. We are very fortunate to have two experienced commercial underwriters, Adele and Kevin, and their extensions and email address are on here. And the fax numbers that you see are their direct faxes, so they do go directly to their desks. And then I also want to give you your marketing team contact information if you don't know it. In South Carolina, your marketing rep is Priscilla Roof, and she can be reached at extension 710. And her direct fax line is on here as well. And in North Carolina, the state is divided. The line runs right between Guilford and Forsyth County. Whoops. So everything west of that line would be in Samantha Absher's territory at extension 140, and you can see her email and her direct fax there. And everything east of that line would be in my territory, and I'm at extension 146, and my email and fax number are on there as well. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation and found out some important information, and we hope that you'll join us next month for the next Coffee Break webinar series. Thank you so much, and don't hesitate to contact us if we can answer any questions for you.